Hello everyone, my name is Aakash Bhardwaj. So I work as an Office 365 developer at HCL Technologies. So I have two samples that I would be showing today. So that I recently contributed to the SPFX web parts GitHub repo. So the first one is called the React Page Navigator. So I'm going to start with this. So recently, this new feature was introduced for the modern pages. So wherein any of the heading tags that we add in the text web parts, so they automatically get an anchor tag associated with them. Like I have this introduction. So if I just hover over next to it, so I get this hashtag introduction appended to the page URL. So clicking on this would directly take me to that heading so that I won't have to manually scroll to go to that link. So a common scenario that I thought of could be around this feature was to have a list of all such headings on the page so that it can act as a table of contents web part, and the users can just simply see what all content is there on the page, and clicking on each of those links would directly take them to that section. So this is what I built my web part around. So let me just show how it works. So here I add this vertical section, another cool new feature added for modern pages. So therein I find and add my page navigator web part. So here you can see, so this automatically lists all these headings as navigation links, so that clicking on each of these links would take me to that section of the page. So it's pretty simple to use web parts. There isn't any property that you need to configure to start using it. So let me just remove this and refresh my page. So here if I click on this purpose link, just a second. Okay, so I click on this criteria link, so it takes me to this page. And similarly, I just simply need to click on this whatever navigation link I have, and it would take me to that section of the page. So this was what the basic functionality of the web part is. So let me jump over to the code for this. So here I have my main webpart.ts file. So in the onInit method, I'm calling this get anchor links method of the SP service class. So let me show this. So this is my method that would return an array of the type inavlink that I can simply use to populate my Office UI Fabric React nav component. So what I'm doing is, first of all, I'm getting the page ID for the page on which this web part is added, and using that page ID, then I'm calling the site pages REST API to get all the info about that page. So once I have that, then I'm using this canvas content one property that basically has all the information about all the web parts that are added on the page. So once I have that, then I'm traversing through each of these web parts and finding which of these web parts are actually text web parts. That I'm doing by checking if this inner HTML property exists for that web part. So once I have that, then I'm just using some basic regex operation to get the value of my heading tags and their URL as well here. So, and once I have all these URLs, so after that, I'm making some checks to see whether whether the navigation link that I have, so whether it should be promoted as a main link in the web part or as a sublink to the previous link that we saw, because you can see here like this scope that we have. So this is currently a heading of the type H2. So it's listed as a sublink of this main H1 introduction heading. So these anchor tags that we see, they are currently supported for all the H1, H2, and H3 tags. So in this section, I'm just checking that sorting order so that all my navigation links are sorted and structured correctly. So once I have traversed through all these web parts and all these anchor tags, so then I simply return this array of inavlink. So once I have this value here in this dot anchor links, so then I simply pass that as a prop to my React component, and this is the one. So herein I'm simply using the Fabric React Nav component. I'm just specifying these links as the links for this component, so that these get rendered correctly. And other than this, just the selected key and on link click methods I'm using, so that my current navigation link gets highlighted whenever we click on it. So any questions around this, or shall I proceed to the next sample that I have?
I think there might be a couple of questions in the window, but if you just want to move ahead and then you can do questions at the end, might be the better way to move forward.
Sure. Okay, so moving on to the next sample. So this one is called the React check flows. So this one was built as kind of an admin utility, so that site owners or admins can quickly see whether there are any instances of Microsoft Flow attached to any list or library in the site, because I think that feature can come handy from a maintenance point of view, or let's say when you are replicating any list on a different site or migrating. So in that case, you might want to check if there are any flows attached to the list that you should also copy to the new site. So let me just show how it works. So I edit my page. I search for this checklist flows web part. So here I can just add a configurable web part title for this. Let me save the page. So here you see this drop down called select list. So this shows me all the lists that are existing in my current site collection. So I select this site pages list. So herein I get a detailed list about some basic information about the flows that are attached to this list. Like I have the flow name, flow trigger, flow share type, whether it's a my flow or a team flow, and then a go to flow link. So clicking on which would take me to that flow details page in Microsoft Flow. So here I can obviously get more info about it and maybe even edit it. So I can select any list here. So if there are any flows attached to it, it will simply show up here. And if not, then it would just give a message that there are no flows associated with this list. So one thing I'd like to share for this is that this web part only lists the flows that are shared with the current user. So whether they would have to be created by him or her as my flows, or they would have to be shared as team flows with them. So only those flows would be shown here. And also they must be residing in the your default environment. So any flows created by other users not shared, or flows in other environments, they won't be listed here. So let me jump over to the code for this. So this is my main webpack TS file. So herein I'm using this sp.web.lists to get all the lists in my site. So I'm getting their title and entity type name. So once I have this, then I'm just assigning its value to this dot list options. So this variable I am passing as a prop to my React component, along with some other properties that are, I think, basically used just for that configurable web part title. So here in my React component, if I look at the render method, so first of all, there is this React reusable control for web part title. Then I have my drop down for select list. So in the option for the drop down options, I have this props.list options that I pass from my web part file. And then on change, I'm calling this method list selected. So herein I'm actually constructing the URL for this list. And once I have that, or for the list or library, and once I have that, so then I'm passing it to this method, get list flows. So in this method, I'm using this sync flow instances REST API. So I'm passing the URL for the list. And so this returns me some information about what flows are attached to this list. So once I have this info, so then this is an important part, like the val.synchronization data. So this is my main property that contains the right. So I'm also going to show the structure for how this like what values this property. So here I see it has one property for value. It is an array. So this is the array that would contain the list of all flows. So this information that you see here, this was for the site pages, the one that had 3 flows attached to it. So in the value array, so we have all the info about each of these flows. For example, here I have the display name, and then I have the sharing type, whether it's author or co-author. And then I guess in the definition summary, yes. Here in the triggers, I get what is the trigger, like when would this flow be triggered. So this one is for on updated file items. And I have this ID as well. So this I'm using to construct the go to flow URL. So once I have this info, the synchronization.value, so then I'm traversing through each of these array elements, and then I'm actually pushing the all the required info to another array of type iflow details. So this is an interface that I have created for storing all the information around each of these flows. So like I have this display name and then trigger, and this is the flow URL and the shared type, whether it would be team flow or MI flow. So once I have all this information in place, so then I'm calling this set state method to add it to this flow item state variable. And then in my details list component, herein I'm actually passing this dot state dot flow items as the items, so that it renders all the flow information correctly. And other than this, I'm also using this cool shimmer control, so that renders some placeholder data while my actual data is being loaded. So just a way to keep the user engaged, like the content is still being loaded. So this is all from the code, I think. So I think we can start having the questions now.
Yeah, there's a few there in the window, but I think in the interest of time, if you can answer them in the chat window, that would be best, and we can move on to Stefan's demo if he is on the call and ready to go. But really interesting stuff, and great to see the code for both of those controls to see how you're doing that. And both of those samples are available. It looks like David just posted the links there in the chat. Both of those are available. Definitely check those out. They show some great techniques for doing different things in React, but also different things with working with flows and auth and so forth. So, and even a little PnP.js in there. So great to see. Great work on that. Thank you very much.